After getting engaged to Edward Shen, he still kept things hot with the intern at his company. Until he brought her home and got intimate and ambiguous in our bedroom. The delicate White Lotus intern asked, looking pitiful, "CEO, if the madam finds out, won't she be angry?" And his tone was utterly indifferent. "Heh. Even if I lose her, there's nothing worth missing." This time I didn't tangle with it anymore. I quickly packed my things and fled in his little uncle's luxury car. Later, he went crazy looking for me, begging me to go back with him. I stroked my belly and smiled gently. "Sorry, I've been struggling with morning sickness lately, so I'm afraid I can't go back with you. How about you say hello to your younger uncle?" He collapsed on the spot. I sat alone on the sofa in the empty living room, my hand clutching my phone, the screen lighting up again and again with that all-too-familiar number. But there was no sound of the call being picked up on the other end, as if mocking my hopes and my disappointment. I comforted myself, maybe he was just too busy and hadn't noticed my call. But today, we had only just gotten engaged, why should I have to endure this cold shoulder? Watching the tears betray me and slip onto the back of my hand, my heart twisted like it was being cut with a knife. I had always believed that as long as I got engaged to Edward Shen, everything would get better. Back in college, friends had warned me over and over, Edward wasn't sincere with me, he didn't know respect. But I was in the full flush of youth, brimming with passion and stubborn devotion to love. How could I easily heed others' words? Wherever he was, I would surely be there by his side. They laughed at me for being a lowly pursuer, I didn't care. Whenever someone asked why I was so obsessed with him, I only smiled faintly, hiding in my heart that sunny afternoon, the picture that lit up a boy and lit up a girl's heart as well. Being good to him, without my noticing, had become part of my life. I knew he tolerated me by his side only because I resembled his white moonlight. After the woman he had once loved deeply got married, he held me and wept all night. After that night, he decided to get engaged to me. I thought he had finally realized I was the one worth cherishing. I thought our days would become beautiful because of it. But reality struck me mercilessly. Our engagement ceremony was simple and low-key, only a few close friends, our parents, and a handful of relatives. Compared with other people's lively scenes, it seemed a little desolate. He said he didn't like noise, but that wasn't what I wanted. Seeing the annoyance between his brows, I swallowed my wish back down into my heart. On the first night after the engagement, he claimed he was busy with company affairs. He didn't keep me company, not even for dinner. But in truth, he spent the whole night with the new intern. I had naively believed that once we were engaged, he would see my deep affection and loyalty. But now it seems I was wrong. Completely wrong. The call still went unanswered. I stared blankly at the teacup in my hand. The tea had long gone cold, as icy and piercing as my mood. The light from Edward Shen's office spilled into the night through the window, while I could only keep an empty house in this silent home, filled with pain and unwillingness. The next day, I decided to go to his company and find him myself. On the way, friends gave me looks of confusion and sympathy. They asked, "Emily, why come in person? Where's Edward? Aren't you two just engaged? Why isn't Edward with you?" I forced a smile. "He's very busy. I just came to check on him." The moment I pushed open his office door, I saw Edward focused on explaining work to that intern, the interaction between them natural and intimate. Colleagues around us whispered, their eyes full of surprise and pity. Hearing my voice, Edward looked up, startled for a beat before regaining calm. "What are you doing here?" He stood and walked toward me, his tone so flat it chilled me. I drew a deep breath, forced back my tears, and looked him straight in the eye. "I want to know why you didn't come home last night. And you and this intern." The intern immediately put on an innocent face and clarified, "Sister, there's really nothing between me and him. Don't misunderstand." Edward explained impatiently, "We were discussing work last night. She's just an intern. My concern for her is the responsibility of a superior. Can you stop making trouble out of nothing? And what about me? Do you remember we just got engaged yesterday? I shot back. The bitterness in my voice moved even the people around us. He said coldly, so what? We're engaged, how can there still be so many issues? What do you want now? His words stabbed through my heart like a blade. I couldn't take it anymore and rushed out. I didn't go home, I went to a friend's bar. I didn't drink there, just sat blankly until a man walked over. For a second I still fantasized it was Edward coming to find me. When I saw the face clearly, it turned out to be Edward's little uncle, the famous Adrian Shen. I couldn't help mocking my own delusions. How could Edward possibly come for me? Adrian broke the silence with a low, mellow voice. Emily Sue, how did you let yourself end up like this? I was speechless for a moment. Adrian was not only Edward's uncle but also the man I once dated. When I pursued Edward, I hadn't known. I learned the truth only at the engagement party when I saw him. Ever since, I had stayed guarded around him. After all, when we broke up, I left directly, not even sending him a message. When I came to my senses, I was already in Adrian's car. The car was unnervingly quiet, like the two of us were locked in a contest over who would speak first to break it. Adrian had grown even more steady. It was said he was doing brilliantly at the Shen Group headquarters, his standing far surpassing Edward, who headed a subsidiary. When we arrived, he sighed helplessly. You really don't have to be so on guard with me. My contact info is still the same. If you need anything, call me anytime. I was silent for a moment after hearing him. In the end, I chose silence, merely thanked him, and got out of the car. He watched me go in but didn't drive away. His gaze followed the direction I left in, unmoving for a while, and only then did he pull away. At my front door, I found it wasn't closed. Only Edward and I had keys. I was just about to feel happy that Edward was home. I heard ambiguous sounds from the bedroom. I went closer and found him and that in turn in an embrace inside. I froze on the spot, unable to believe what I was seeing. The little white lotus seemed to spot me. She gave me a provocative smile. Edward had his back to me and didn't notice I was behind him. I heard the delicate in turn ask pitifully, CEO, if your fiancé finds out, won't she be angry? His tone was utterly unconcerned. Heh. Even if I lose her, there's nothing worth missing. Hearing that, even though I knew Edward didn't like me, my heart still stabbed with pain. I couldn't help doubting myself, is this really the man I've loved for 3 years? Edward, as if sensing eyes on his back, turned his head. When he saw me standing there, he froze for a second, then quickly recovered and said coldly, why are you standing there? What now, do you want me to apologize to you? You embarrassed me at the company, and I haven't even held you accountable yet. With a sob in my voice, I said, you do this and still blame me? Do you even have a heart? It's been 3 years, when have you ever looked back at me? Even the engagement was handled carelessly, but I thought as long as we could get engaged, it'd be enough. I thought after we got engaged, everything would get better, and yet you do this in our wedding home? Don't you feel any shame? My voice trembled more and more. What I was seeing was a devastating blow. The man I'd loved for 3 years, at this moment I wondered if I'd loved the wrong person all along. He gave a cold laugh. If you can't stand it, then get out. Did I ever beg you to act like some groveling lapdog? I shook with anger at his words. I stepped forward and slapped him. He didn't react at first. Stunned, as if he couldn't believe I would hit him, he stood there for a long time, speechless. The little white lotus stared at me in shock, she hadn't expected me to slap him either. He roared, pack up your trash and get out of here. I ignored him. I hurriedly gathered my things and left this place that had broken my heart. With my luggage, I squatted downstairs, not knowing where to go. It was as if the strength that had carried me out vanished in an instant. Tears betrayed me again, and I felt something settle inside. I took out my phone and deleted the man I'd loved for 3 years and everything connected to him. I felt a breath of relief, as if freed, then I fell back into grief. A person stopped in front of me. I looked up, It was Adrian Shen. I snapped, "Well, young Master Shen, how leisurely of you, didn't you leave? Why did you come back just to watch a good show? Are you happy to see me this pathetic?" I was practically shouting. He didn't speak at first. After a long silence, his hoarse voice sounded, "Come with me, Emily. Edward treats you badly. Don't be sad over him." He pulled me into his arms. I stood there, stunned, motionless. Adrian's embrace gave me a long-lost warmth, but his appearance didn't dispel the bitterness in my chest. I pushed him away hard, holding back tears. "Go. I don't want any more entanglements with your Shen family." My stubborn gaze held a finality. Adrian looked at me, his eyes complicated. "Emily, I know you're hurting now. But life goes on. You need somewhere to cool down. Come with me, it's better than staying here in pain. I'll help you handle what's happening." "Handle it? What can you handle?" I shot back, scornful. "At the very least, I can help you fight for what you deserve. You too, just got engaged. He should face consequences for this. As for the intern and Edward, I'll take care of it." Adrian's words were firm, like a beam of light piercing the gloom within me. This time, I didn't hesitate. I got in his car. Scenery flew past outside the window. Inside the car, the air was suffocatingly quiet. No one spoke. I watched the world outside, not knowing what the future would be. Adrian brought me to a quiet lakeside villa. It was far from the city's clamor, as if it could let a person forget their pain for a while. Looking at the house, I said to Adrian, "Thank you. And I'm sorry, I lost it a bit earlier and took it out on you." He didn't mind at all. He shook his head and urged me to go in and look around. Inside, the layout and decor were exactly my taste. He still remembered. I remembered how I'd always said what I wanted my home to look like, but it had never happened. Even the place Edward and I got engaged into was dull and lifeless, while this house's color was the sky blue I'd always loved. I couldn't hold back anymore and started to cry. Adrian held me, soothing me. This time, I didn't push him away. News of yesterday's incident got out. Colleagues gossiped. I heard Emily Sue caught that intern and the CEO in bed at home. Edward Shen is really something, already engaged and still doing that. And Emily chased him for so long and he still did that, really something. Even if his heart were ice, it should have been warmed by now. The intern couldn't raise her head in the company. Every day she hid in Edward's office, crying that everyone called her a homewrecker, that she'd interfered in a relationship. She didn't notice the impatience on the man's face and kept complaining. Edward felt only irritation looking at the woman in front of him and didn't answer her. Seeing Edward silent, Lydia Lu knew she shouldn't anger him now. She pinched herself to make tears flow and said pitifully, "They say it's nothing. It's just that when I hear the way they talk about you, I really can't swallow it." Edward rubbed Lydia's head, signaling her to behave, but he did nothing about it and let people talk. So the matter had no follow-up. Seeing Edward make no move to stop them, people knew he was only momentarily interested in the intern and kept teasing her. The little white lotus complained to Edward more than once, but he didn't intervene and let it ferment. A few days later, at the company's annual meeting, Edward stood before all the shareholders, his face ugly. He never expected what would happen next. Adrian Shen strode to the stage, cold-eyed, a document in hand. Every word landed with weight. "Ladies and gentlemen, regarding the recent rumors about Edward Shen's private life negatively affecting the company, I've already begun an investigation and taken measures. Also, as for Emily Sue, who is my friend, her rights and interests will be fully protected." The conference room burst into an uproar. People looked at Edward with shock, astonishment, even contempt. Edward didn't understand. If she was only a friend, why go this far? He gnashed his teeth but was helpless. There was no way to refute it. He had indeed done those ridiculous things. This company was only a Shen family subsidiary, meant for Edward to gain experience. But recently the rumors spread everywhere. Many believed the Shen family had a character problem, and even Shen stock fluctuated. The family's power holder talked to Edward, warning that if he continued like this, they would take the company back and even repossess his shares, and scolded him for being inferior to Adrian. Hearing that, no matter how aggrieved Edward felt, he couldn't argue. Adrian was no longer that illegitimate son from years ago. Edward told me about it. When I heard, I couldn't stop grinning. Scum deserved it. That night, I took a call from Edward on the villa balcony. His voice sounded tired. "Emily, I admit I was wrong. But can you not let my uncle interfere between us?" "What is there between us to interfere in?" "Edward, you destroyed everything with your own hands." I responded coolly, my heart like still water. You'll regret this. Don't be ungrateful." Edward's voice dropped, threaded with warning. "Let's see who regrets what, time will tell." I turned to see Adrian behind me, who had been quietly staying with me. He was looking at me in silence, those deep eyes full of care and tenderness. "Thank you, Adrian," I murmured, my heart a tangle. Adrian smiled faintly. "Don't mention it. I just want you to live better. But the choice is always yours. Whatever the future, I'll support you." I hung up on Edward's warning, my heart still a storm. Adrian came over and handed me a hot cup of tea. That warmth felt as if it could smooth every crease in my heart. "Emily, whatever you decide, I'm on your side." His words were calm and steady. Days later, at the annual shareholders' meeting, Adrian formally questioned Edward's mismanagement and the impact of his private life on the company's image, presenting a detailed investigative report. The shareholders buzzed, many expressing blame and disappointment toward Edward. "I think he can't tell what really matters. A man like that isn't fit to run the company," one shareholder said angrily. "Yeah, Edward is reaping what he sowed," another echoed. Edward's face went iron blue. He couldn't refute any of it. He had to endure the crowd's eyes and public pressure. After the meeting, Edward came to me, eyes filled with unprecedented anxiety. He said seriously, "Emily, I know I was wrong. I'm willing to compensate you. I'll marry you, just get my uncle to let this go." I laughed coldly. "Compensate? Edward, do you think my 3 years of love can be measured in money? What you owe me isn't money, it's a true heart. And I won't love you anymore. Marry whoever you want, it has nothing to do with me." Adrian appeared just then. He patted my shoulder and said to Edward, "You need to understand, Emily wants respect and care, not your compensation and alms." Edward froze and murmured, "Emily, you still love me, right?" I gazed at the man before me. Time had carved deep marks into him. The familiar boy was gone, replaced by a stranger, cold and distant. I pressed down the ache and said evenly, "The one I loved was the boy you used to be." Something complicated flickered in his eyes, like he'd caught the mountains of words I wouldn't say. In the quiet of the car, I turned my eyes to Adrian. My hesitation rippled through me. Finally, I mustered the courage to break the silence. "Why are you helping me? I have nothing left to repay you with." Adrian's eyes were still calm as a lake. "There's nothing to repay. If you really want to talk about repayment, then get back together with me." The words landed in my heart like a pebble, sending ripples through it. I was a little stunned. Did he still have feelings for me? Seeing me silent, Adrian seemed to realize he'd been abrupt. Regret flashed across his face, like a child who'd done something wrong. He considered, trying to soften the air. "Sorry. I just said it without thinking. Honestly, I just can't stand the way he plays with people's feelings." Watching him rush to explain made me want to laugh. Time had passed, but some habits of his were the same. He could say something decisive, then wear a pitiful expression, like a misunderstood puppy. I couldn't help smiling, warmth in my eyes. "Then I'll be watching your performance." At that, Adrian's tension eased. A warm smile rose to his face. "Okay." That one word, "okay," was like a sunbeam piercing the clouds, filling the car and lighting up the memories between us that had never truly gathered dust. Just after graduating, I had joined Edward's company to be near him. But now there was no future between us. Once I wrapped up my tasks, I would resign. After the shareholders' meeting, Edward's loss of power became the topic on everyone's lips. In the hallways, the break room, even the cafeteria at lunch, employees whispered about the once lofty CEO. Heard the news? The CEO got a harsh lesson from his uncle. Well, he brought it on himself. Got engaged and still did that. Did he think his fiancée was just for show? That Emily Sue is fiery. If it were me, I'd have gone crazy from his crap long ago. As for me, Emily Sue, with Adrian's help I began to step out of this broken love and find myself again. I wasn't dragged down by it. I showed independence and strength at work, earning respect and admiration. One afternoon, sunlight spilling into the office, I received a call from an unfamiliar number, the little White Lotus intern, Lydia Lu. Emily, I know I wronged you. She tried to explain through tears. She must have been fired. Explaining to me was useless, I wasn't the one in power. No need to say more. Your business has nothing to do with me. From now on, we go our separate ways. I cut her off coldly and hung up, a bitter smile tugging at my mouth. After losing power, Edward didn't give up on winning me back. He came to me many times, humbling himself further each time, but I rejected him firmly. Emily, I know I was wrong. I'm willing to change. I finally know who I truly love. I was foolish before. Just give me one more chance, he pleaded at my office door. I glanced at him and said coolly, Edward, not everything can be redone, least of all love. How are you still this childish? You should be fixing the impact you've had on the company, not clinging to the past. Just then Adrian walked into my office. His appearance changed Edward's face. Edward, you should understand, Emily has made her choice. Your priority now is to handle your own mess, not bother her. Adrian's steady words were like an invisible blade stabbing straight into Edward's chest. Edward glared at us, unwilling. I won't give up on you, he threw over his shoulder, and left. Seeing Adrian still scowling, I couldn't help laughing and teased him, relax, I won't fall for him again. Don't be mad, okay? He nodded, but his expression stayed adorably aggrieved. I smiled. All right, see you tonight. I've got things to finish, off you go. He was about to say something, but I pushed him out. I exhaled and went back to work. That evening, Adrian and I sat on the terrace of the lakeside villa. The stars glittered, the breeze was gentle. Emily, if you ever want to leave here and chase the life that's yours, I'll support you, Adrian said softly, looking into the distance. I didn't know when I'd fallen for the man in front of me. Maybe it was the night I was crouched downstairs and he came to save me and take me away, or maybe it was every moment he stood firmly at my side. I looked up at him, feeling shining in my eyes. Thank you, Adrian. But right now, I want to stay. I want to stay by your side. Moonlight spread like water, laying a silver veil over our close figures, draping this quiet night in something dreamlike. The pale light cast two shadows that crept closer with our heartbeats until they overlapped completely, telling a story that words could not. His eyes were deep. He drew me into his arms with gentle care, like placing a rare treasure upon the bed. His fingers skimmed my cheek, then pressed soft kisses to the corner of my mouth. The warmth and delicacy of it was like a spring breeze rippling a lake, intoxicating. Baby, can we start over? His voice was low and magnetic, especially stirring in the silence of night. He wasn't impatient, he just waited for my answer, eyes bright with expectation and resolve. I was already immersed in his boundless tenderness. My gaze flowing, I whispered, of course. The moment the words left me, he hugged me with a fervor and depth that seemed to fuse me into his body, into his soul. His large hand held steady at my waist, slender yet full of strength, so delicate under his palm. He was no longer satisfied with mere tasting. A domineering, burning kiss fell again, brooking no argument and brimful of feeling. His heated lips slid from my mouth to my ear, the tip of his tongue gently tracing, then slowly catching my earlobe between his teeth, sending shivers through me. His kisses trailed downward along my long neck, every inch of skin a field for his exploration, every moment of warmth claimed yet perfectly measured. We clung to each other on the bed, bodies and hearts intertwined. Time seemed to freeze, leaving only the tangle of our breaths. That night, we did not sleep. When I woke, I looked at the man before me and wondered why, after so many years, he still couldn't let me go. I touched his face. His eyelashes trembled and I knew he was awake. "Adrian Shen," I asked, my voice hoarse from sleep yet hitting straight at the heart, "all these years, have you really never fallen for anyone else?" He rubbed his eyes, as if recalling long-sealed memories. Sadness and determination flickered in his gaze. "No. You're like a brand on my heart, impossible to erase. You know, as the Shen family's illegitimate son, I grew up neglected and bullied. They'd catch me off guard and drag me into dark corners to beat me. Back then, I was a child the world had forgotten. Until you appeared like a knight, standing before me and blocking all that malice. In that moment, your silhouette became the brightest light in my life. When you said you'd be with me, my heart almost burst. I was so excited and happy I agreed at once." He paused, then continued. "That month of happiness was like sweetness stolen from fate. But then you transferred schools without warning. I searched everywhere and found only your empty apartment. I'm not telling you this to win your pity, but so you'll know, someone has been waiting where he stood. Will you give him a chance to start again?" Guilt surged through me. Back then, I'd approached him out of a shallow curiosity about his stunning looks. I never imagined my impulse would leave such a deep mark on him. I looked at him for a long time, then leaned down and pressed my lips to his, letting warmth and softness carry my answer. When our lips parted and I saw the expectation in his eyes, I said firmly, "Of course." The next morning, sunlight pooled on the sill. After a simple breakfast, I headed to the company. My tasks were done. It was time to say goodbye to the place that held so much laughter and so many tears. I handed in the resignation letter I'd prepared to HR, packed my personal items, and gently closed my office door behind me. The news spread through the company like wildfire. My resignation became the day's hot topic. Some regretted the departure of a capable colleague, some envied my decisive pursuit of a new life, more were stunned by the resolve I'd shown after Edward's engagement debacle. "Emily actually resigned?" "I thought she'd stick it out," a young coworker sighed. Honestly, Edward's behavior was too much, engaged and still so hot and cold. "Anyone would crack," another agreed. "Did you hear? Adrian Shen personally stood up for Emily against Edward." "Biggest news we've had," someone added, equal parts gossip and awe over a rich family feud. On my last day, many familiar faces gathered in the lobby to see me off. Their eyes mixed curiosity about the unknown future, care for me, and respect for my brave choice. Edward didn't appear. His office door stayed shut as always, as if he were avoiding the upheaval, leaving everyone to wonder. Meanwhile, upon hearing of my resignation, Adrian came to me right away. "Emily, are you sure? If you want, I can arrange a position for you at Group HQ." His voice was full of concern. I smiled, shook my head, and looked at him steadily. "Adrian, shall we get married?" Adrian froze like a fool, silent for a long moment. Then he snapped to and blurted, "I'll go get the household booklet now. The Civil Affairs Bureau is still open." "All right, see you there in a bit." I smiled. I went home to grab my booklet. On the way to the bureau, a WeChat message popped up from Adrian, "Emily, if you regret it, I'll pretend nothing happened. Otherwise, once we marry, I really won't let you go." I replied, "It's my decision. I won't regret it. Husband, see you soon." He stayed in the typing state for a while. So easy to fluster. We reached the bureau quickly. He seemed in a rush. As soon as I got out of the car, he pulled me inside. His body stayed tense. I stroked his hand to soothe him. Only after we finished the paperwork and had the little red booklets in hand did he relax. Emily, let me keep your safe. He still looked worried, so I handed him my marriage certificate to ease him. As for Edward, under the double blow of losing power and losing me, he finally realized his mistakes. His image collapsed inside and outside the company. The women who'd once flocked around him drifted away. News of Edward's fall spread like wildfire inside and outside the company. Apparently he'd tried to trip Adrian up in secret. Once Adrian learned of it, he moved immediately. Colleagues and friends buzzed, shocked by my choices. Did you hear? Edward got chewed out by his uncle. He can barely keep the company. Serves him right. Emily Sue is wonderful, he didn't know what he had. The news that Emily Sue and Adrian Shen were getting married exploded in our circle. People were stunned by the sudden turn. Unbelievable. Emily is marrying Adrian, that was fast. But honestly, I'm happy for her. Adrian really is reliable. On our wedding day, flowers bloomed in profusion and the guests were many. People praised Adrian for winning such a bride, and said he loved me deeply. Adrian meticulously planned a grand wedding. Every detail showed his care and sincerity. But I knew that for me, his presence was enough. All the flourish was only icing on the cake. When the pregnancy test showed 2 lines, Adrian's tears fell before mine did. That mix of joy and worry made my heart ache for him. Faced with such a crybaby of a husband, all I could do was cherish him more. One day, by chance, I ran into Lydia Lu working at a cafe. She no longer looked like a white lotus, she seemed haggard. She was surprised to see me and came over. Emily, I know I was wrong. I paid the price, she said, head bowed, full of remorse. I stirred my coffee and smiled. It's fine. It's over. She noticed the ring on my hand. Did you marry Adrian Shen? She asked. A small smile tugged at my lips. Yes. I gently stroked my belly. She noticed and asked carefully, are you pregnant? Hand on my stomach, I beamed. 5 weeks. She seemed relieved. She bowed, guilt-stricken. I was so immature back then. I'm sorry. Seeing you this happy, I can finally be at peace. Outside the cafe, I saw Edward. He saw me too, steadier now, different from before. The moment he spotted me, he hurried in. He grabbed my hand. Emily, I was wrong. Come back. My company is stable now. Come back, I can't forget you. Lydia stood aside like she was watching a show. I stroked my belly and smiled gently. Sorry, I've had terrible morning sickness lately. I don't think I can go back with you. How about you say hello to your younger uncle? He stared at my belly in disbelief. You married my uncle and you're pregnant this fast? What does he have that I don't? Why can't you look back at me? He seemed shocked that we'd married. My face cooled. What? Because you turned back, I'm supposed to be waiting behind you? And your uncle is very good. He loves me, cherishes me, respects me, he's 1,000 times better than you. Seeing no point in continuing, I got up to leave. Adrian texted that he was coming to get me, so I headed out. Passers-by glanced at us with envy, whispering. Look at that couple, the man handsome and elegant, the woman gentle and lovely. A perfect match. I hear they're the leads in that Shen Group little uncle/ex-CEO fiancé story everyone's been talking about. Behind us, Edward still couldn't believe that a woman once full of him could fall in love with someone else. Back home, Adrian took meticulous care of me and the baby. Our life was warm and sweet. Edward, seeing the wedding reports, felt a tangle of emotions, regret, most of all. At home, our days were calm and tender. Adrian cherished me and the child in my belly. His thoughtfulness filled me with warmth. He worried about the pain of childbirth for me, he even suggested I not have the baby, which I firmly refused. As the pregnancy progressed, he stopped mentioning it and personally handled every detail. He even moved his office to the study at home so he could be by my side whenever I needed him. Every night, he would tell fairy tales softly to the baby in my belly, so deep and moving. Despite his careful protection, the discomforts of pregnancy couldn't be avoided. Sometimes, when I slept, he'd threaten the little one, "Be good, stop tormenting mom." Once, I happened to wake and heard him. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. One day at a prenatal checkup, I overheard nurses chatting. "Did you hear? Edward is like a different person now, meticulous at work, even volunteering. Probably regrets it. Look how happy Emily is, loving husband, baby on the way." When I finished, Edward appeared at the hospital entrance, haggard but with a steady gaze. "Emily, I know nothing I do can make up for the past, but I hope you'll see I've changed. At least let me be in the child's life, as a responsible uncle," he said sincerely. I lowered my head to my belly, feeling the little life stir. "I'm sorry, Edward. Let the past stay in the past. We're each doing well now. Not interfering with each other is best." The light in his eyes dimmed. He said nothing more, just looked at me long and left. As my due date neared, we moved to a place a block from the hospital just in case. On the day I gave birth, I was surprisingly calm, calmer than I'd ever been. In the delivery room, I lived a miracle. Outside, he waited, frantic. At last, a bright cry announced new life. The nurse, delighted, held up a pink little girl for me to see. When I was wheeled out, Adrian's eyes were wet. He clutched my hand and promised, firm as a vow, "Wife, let's never have another." Adrian, weeping with joy, named her Adrian Shen, Adrian meaning peace and companionship. The news set our circle abuzz again. People praised Adrian as a rare good man. Then, behind my back, he made a bold decision. He got a vasectomy. He said he was afraid contraception might fail and make me suffer that pain again. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but I felt the depth of love and care in it. Meanwhile, through his own effort, Edward made big strides in his career. In public, he offered blessings to me and the child more than once, winning some goodwill. But he kept his distance and didn't try to insert himself into our lives. One day, I was out shopping with my daughter and ran into Edward. I tried to avoid him, but he saw us. He walked over, a little worn. Looking at my daughter in my arms, he sighed, "Emily, this is your child, she's already so big." He seemed steadier than before. Perhaps because I'd gradually made peace with things during pregnancy, I no longer clung to old grudges. I smiled. "Yes. Anyan, say hello to your uncle." My daughter blinked wide eyes and greeted him, innocent and sweet. He gave a stiff smile and praised her, then talked about himself. After that happened, I threw myself into work. He paused, then apologized. "I'm truly sorry for back then. I know it's meaningless to say now. When I learned you were pregnant, I regretted it so much. But life can't be rewound. I wish you happiness." I grinned openly. It's all in the past. What matters is looking forward. I'm very happy now. We said goodbye. Back home, my daughter tattled to Adrian. She scurried away to her room. I could only give a helpless look. Adrian came over, face comically aggrieved. "Wife, am I not enough?" I knew we were in for another sleepless night. Hearing our bedroom door click, our daughter Anyan obediently went to bed. One afternoon at the park, I ran into old girlfriends. "Emily, your man is the model husband, so good to you and the baby." "I'm jealous." "Yeah. And Edward, even if he's reformed, he missed what mattered most." Adrian arrived just then, took what I was carrying, and slipped an arm around my shoulders. People looked, murmuring in admiration. Seems Edward really woke up, but now he looks like he's fallen from the clouds to earth, finally touched by everyday life, a passerby mused. "Emily, your family of 3 is so happy," a friend said, smiling. Adrian looked down at me and our daughter, satisfied. "A family belongs together. Nothing else matters." I looked up at him, heart full of gratitude and love, and squeezed his hand. Having you is enough. With the sun setting, we walked away under people's gazes, leaving behind the picture of a happy family. As for Edward Shen's story, it continued to be told on people's lips, becoming a legend of the past.